Alrighty. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic / Non Classics. This is episode number 2342 and Doubleshot number 2236. Most of it for this one, we're discussing one trade and issues from one particular series. We have The Amazing Spider-Man, The Complete Alien Saga, Book 2. This book contained issues of 4 different Spider-Man books. Actually, yeah, 4. It's mostly from Amazing Spider-Man 259 to 63, Marvel Team Up 146 150, which those are, fun fact, the last 5 issues of that book before we got back in the 90s. Peter Parker, this book of Spider-Man issues 96 through 100. They include also the 4th annual in this book, yes, and Web of Spider-Man number 1. Now, the Amazing Spider-Man issues, not discussing this because I've discussed issues with already. Thanks to, of course, the Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection Goes to Past. Web of Spider-Man number 1, discussed this already. So, we're only discussing issues from Marvel Team Up and Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Now, the very first issue of this book, we have Spider-Man team up with Jack Monroe, aka Nomad. Yeah, he's second Nomad, take on Taskmaster and some other guy. Yep. Actually, this is Steve Rogers, not Jack Nomad. I thought it was Steve Rogers. That was Jack Nomad. So yeah, they gotta go Black Adam. He's an old Marvel character. Yeah, take on Taskmaster 2. And move on to the annual, which, yes, this annual was in here, but whoops, there's a list on here. The annual itself basically just talks about Aunt May's past, where apparently she dated a criminal before she dated Ben Parker. Yeah, that's mostly put exactly what this book is. Yeah. So yeah, they have this guy called Johnny Jerome, who only appears just for this annual. Yeah, he does appear one at a time after this in Spider-Man Family number 7, but that was pretty much it for the guy. He apparently was just an old flame of Aunt May's. Aside from that, doesn't feel like there's an actual reason why this is a here, just because basically that. Then issue number 96, basically we return of Cloak and Dagger. Well, Cloak anyways. Cloak and Dagger, along with Spider-Man and Black Cat. Yeah, and then we have the parent death of the Answer. The Answer, of course, would later return in Lethal Foe Spider-Man number 1 in 1993. So he's gone for like 9 years. No, seriously, 9 years. It's weird, though, the fact that he disappears for 9 years. Yeah. And also, Silvermane is in this issue, too. He, of course, appeared in the previous issue of the book. Yeah, I think it's from this book that apparently he was responsible for releasing the drugs that turn Cloak and Dagger to what they are. Yep. And Cloak and Dagger are here just for a couple issues. And they're here for 96. Then we have the guy called the Hermit. Yes, the Hermit. Yeah. He appears for this one comic book. Yep. Yep. So, the City makes a brief appearance in here. Yep. Cloak and Dagger appears in should be a recap. And then, of course, in 98 of the book, we pretty much have debut of the Spot. Yes, the Spot, which briefly appeared in issue number... Well, technically, in a way, Jonathan Owen, aka the Spot, made his debut in Peter Parker, The Spectular Spider-Man number 94. It becomes the Spot issue 98. Yep. That's mostly put exactly what goes on there. And basically, 98 is beginning the end of the relationship of Black Cat and Spider-Man. Spider-Man fights the Spot issue 90, 99, and 100. Well, fights the Spot again along with the Kingpin of Crime. And also, this is the issue where Black Cat gives Spider-Man his new black costume. A costume he would wear for the next several years. On and off, he would swap between this costume and the red and black costume. Yeah, he would donate one of these costumes to Germany at one point. And the last time he officially wore this costume was actually in Amazing 7300. And there's a reason why he stopped wearing it, because his wife, Mary Jane Watson, was afraid of that particular costume. Not the red and blue costume. Oh no, she loves that costume. But this one, ran too much venom. So, yeah, and here's the strange thing about that particular costume. Basically, when Spider-Man first saw Venom, he wore the black costume. This regular costume that Black Cat made for him. Yeah, and their relationship was going on at this point for a couple years. Ended. Yep. You think, okay. But that's the Peter Parker using Spectular issues, okay. But what about the Marvel Team issues? Well, we're skipping past the Amazing issues like I mentioned because discussed issues already. Discussed that already. Let's see. I'm trying to go to the next Marvel because all that's really discussing here are just the Marvel Team issues. But I do appreciate the Cloak and Dagger stuff. It's really awesome. But the way to have in here, it's like Marvel Team Up in number 146, the end of Peter Parker Second Spider-Man. I think it's next also an issue of Peter Parker Second Spider-Man, and basically like Amazing for one issue, for a couple issues, and then basically 2 issues of Peter Parker Second Spider-Man. And here we go, 147. Basically, it's dealing with a Black Abbott in this issue here. And if you're really curious, who writes these issues particularly? Well, in the case of Peter Parker, Second Spider-Man, it's mostly, for these issues in particular, for 96 to 100, it is Al Mulgrew is the writer of these issues. Yep, him doing the artwork too. But what about the annual? The annual is done by Bill Mantlo, with Sal Buscema on the artwork. So it is Jack Morrell. I was right about that. So, yeah, basically this is Black Abbott's first appearance. Yeah, this comic here. Yeah, this is a guy who didn't really appear very much. He appears for these 3 issues of Marvel Team Up, pops up for issues of Punisher, and that's really it for him. Yeah, we also first heard the Black Apostles. Yeah, and they're only in just these issues. But your dogs, who are just in this 1 issue, Deke, just a minor character, and Nalfalhum, just a thug, only appears as 1 issue. First person character named Tony, who is basically a minor character, only appears like just this issue in issue 148, and that's pretty much it for the guy. Yeah. Oh, by the way, who writes 146? That's Carrie Mark Greg LaRouque on the artwork. Carrie does this next issue here. Black Ab basically is in these issues. You have, well, first you have Nomad, then you have Human Torch, and then 148 teams up with Thor, who he was under an alias of Stuttgart Jarlson. That was something that Walt Simonson did. Yeah, and Walt Simonson didn't write the issue, but this is a loose tie into Walt Simonson's run, kind of, because this is at the period time it came out. Basically also Alicia Masters and Human Torch for this issue, but they don't play a really big role. And then 149, we have Spider-Man team with Cannonball of New Mutants. Yes. Take out this guy called the Indecent Man. Yes, this weird guy who appears in this 1 issue and never spoken of again. It's almost like basically this was an embarrassment. Yeah, Louis Simonson wrote this issue with Brett Bivens in the artwork. The final issue, Spider-Man teams with the X-Men, to do something really special. Okay, 150 was the last issue of the book. At the time, before it was brought back in the 90s, very briefly. Well, first was brought back as Spider-Man Team Up, which that lasted for 7 issues, and then relaunched as Marvel Team Up, Volume 2, which lasted for 11 issues. Then the book ended, brought back next decade, lasted for 25 issues, and then was brought back in, I think it was 2021, I think it was, to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Marvel Comics. Lasted for 6 issues, mostly put with Miss Marvel book. Yeah. 150 is also not only the final issue of the first volume, but it's also the second ever time Spider-Man ever fights the Juggernaut. It's round 2 with Juggernaut. But this time, he has the X-Men helping him And he's working with Black Tom Cassidy, Banshee's cousin. Yes, seriously. This guy is Banshee's cousin. That's how he's related to him. As a matter of fact, here's a fun fact with Black Tom Cassidy. Did you know he actually raised Banshee's daughter? Yep, he raised her. Which, apparently Banshee had no idea about the fact he was a parent until she was an adult. Yep, he had no idea. As far as I can tell for comics-wise, Banshee and his daughter, Tessity, who also went by Banshee as well, at one point she became the mythological Banshee. She and her father had a great father-daughter relationship over the years, so she was never mad at him for having his cousin raise her. Yeah, no issue with that at all. And the fact also he would get into fights with Black Tom Cassidy. Yep. Oh yeah, and also Banshee also owned a castle in Scotland known as Cassidy's Keep. And that's pretty much what it is. And basically, Juggernaut's trying to help out his partner, which at one point some people think that they're gay for each other, which is weird. Juggernaut actually last appeared in Kenny X-Men number 183. And same with, as for, well, Black Tom Cassidy, he last appeared back in 1982. This was 1984, roughly just a couple years later. As for the next appearance of these two characters, well, they would next appear in Kenny X-Men 184 as Juggernaut, Black Tom Cassidy, X-Force number 1. Yes, for some reason, the next appearance is 7 years later. Do not know the reason for that, but that's basically what it is. It's a really good issue, surprisingly. The X-Men themselves would next appear in their own book. Obviously, like 190 something. Yeah, so... And this is basically yeah, there's like a moment of silence. And now, before the action begins. Because it's the last issue of the book. Yep. Yeah, of course, they would also next appear in Kenny X-Men, well, 189. Yep. But that was a really... the Marvel Team Up Volume 1 is an excellent book. I haven't read the whole series yet, but I have read it. It is an excellent book. Also, Mrs. Miggins makes an appearance here. Mrs. Miggins, who is Peter Parker's landlady. Yeah, she was a freaking princess in the books. Mostly up until a certain point. I think like her last known appearance was back in Web of Spider-Man 38. I think that was the last time anybody saw her. Well, then she popped up in Black Wolf. Yes, Black Wolf. Why is she here? I have no idea. She never popped up in Spider-Man Volume number 1. And that was the last time I ever saw her. Yeah, she mostly put, like I said, which is a recurring presence both in like all the Spider-Man books. Mostly amazing, a little bit spectacular. Yeah, she also had nieces living in an apartment too. Candy, who made her first appearance in issue 99 of this very book. Yeah, she made 15 appearances in this book overall over the years. She first appeared in, of course, Marty 150. Popped up in Peter Parker through Spectular Spider-Man 199, 200, and appeared sporadically until Amazing Spider-Man 326. Which I kind of discussed this characters already. Her roommates. Randy. She herself basically would mostly appear about the same amount of time. Basically by 326, she was done. Yep. Yeah, for a lot of these older characters who appeared in the 70s and 80s, they basically were retired with that issue. Yep. But, okay, so not the final thoughts of the series, but basically check it out. It's a really good book. Alright, now we're discussing some issues of Peter Parker, the Spectral Spider-Man. First of which, talking about issue 101, right afterwards. Now, we're talking about first... Now, you're probably thinking, why am I discussing these particular issues? Now, why not 107, 110? I had discussed this already. That's the Gene the Wolf story arc. Yep. That is mostly put exactly what that story arc is. Yep. Now, you might be curious now. Now, basically... In 101, Spider-Man fights Backlash, who last appeared in 145. And he next appears in Captain America 319. And then 102, he fights Killer Strike again, who he last appeared back. Well, I don't know why it does that for. Let's see. His previous appearance part of this very issue, which was, let's see. His previous appearance for this very issue was back in Spider-Man number 50. And he last fought Spider-Man back in this very book in issue 57. Yep. His next appearance is going to be in Amazing Spider-Man 310, which came out in 1980, roughly about 3 years later. Do not know why. In issue number 103, he fights someone called Ashley Crawford. It's a very odd issue, per se. And then we have a guy called Bounty Hunter, who looks like a version, a makeshift version of basically like. So he's here for this one issue, and he's here to kill Rocket Racer. Rocket Racer last appeared back in Amazing Spider-Man 183, where that's when the big wheelbase debut. Yep. In issue 105 and 106, it's a two-parter where you have a guest appearance by the Wasp. Yes, the Wasp makes a quick guest appearance in this very book, because why not? She previously appeared back in Marvel graphic novel Emperor Doom starting Mighty Avengers, which came out 2 years after this one. But after this, she basically returns back to the Amazing comic book. I think was a really cool idea. Now, I guess at this period of time, they kind of stopped doing a thing where, oh, let's have this book follow up with something from other books. That's basically what the book was for the longest period of time. I guess this book, they want to stop doing that and just do its own thing and just have its own standalone stuff. Apparently, the annual thing, I haven't read the annual. I haven't read the annual yet, so I'm not going to discuss the annual. Right now, we're going to skip straight to 112. I'll discuss the annual another time. 112 basically fights a Santa Claus imposter who last appeared back in issue 109. Yeah, basically 112 is kind of like a loose epilogue from Death of Jean DeWolf. Of course, Black Cat's issues gets a retime for costume. Oh, and by the way, basically with issue, I think it's 111, I believe it is. They add the words "all new, all daring" to the book. I'm trying to think, what was the issue they started with, because I don't think it was 107, was it? Let's see. So it was after 106 they decided to basically add the title of All New, All Daring. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but they did. 113 basically fights some thugs. We also got experience with the Black Cat, because she's still appearing in this book. But it teases a guy, basically a guy named Mark Nastotti, who posed as Spider-Man from one issue. Yep. And fights some called the Barons. Yeah, basically it's kind of like these issues you have Spider-Man fighting street thugs. Yeah, then 115 fights the Foreigner, with a guest appearance by Doctor Strange, who actually at this period of time last appeared in Vision Scarlet Witch number 6. And then next appeared back in Alpha Flight number, what was that? That was 36. The Foreigner last appeared back in Web of Spider-Man number 15. And his next appearance would be in the very next issue. Yeah, in this issue and the following issue, Spider-Man fights frickin' Sabretooth. Yeah. Actually, yeah, he fights this issue. And then Spider-Man goes missing in action. And of course, basically, Spider-Man briefly loses his power, so he's declared missing in action. Very short period of time. Yeah, this whole missing action would actually cross over. This is actually something that would start in the pages of Web of Spider-Man. Yes. It would start there for 2 issues. One issue, Amazing, which then we have this issue, and then Web of Spider-Man 18, which basically, well, basically went to brief retirement. And then basically with this issue, Alex Wolcott apparently dies. He last appeared back in the previous issue of the book. Alex Wolcott been like a recurring character in this book, and by 118 he supposedly died, but later on he came back in 339, where they officially retired the character. I'm like, really? Yeah, they retired him not in Spider-Man. Oh no, retire him in the pages of Hulk. Not sure why, but they did. Also, this guy called Freddy. Yeah, basically, that was the rogue shield agents, basically about Spider-Man. Yeah, and they're here for this issue in 128, and that's the last issue of them. Yeah, these are basically just rogue shield agents. 119. Fight Sabretooth once again. Sabretooth himself last appeared back at 116. And before that was, well, let's see here. It's weird, though, the fact we have Sabretooth fighting Spider-Man this period on this fact he's a Wolverine villain. And you're probably thinking, why the heck would appear Amazing Spider-Man Second Spider-Man 4? Honestly, I have no idea. Basically, before these two issues, he last appeared back in Pyro Man Iron Fist, issues 66, 78, and 84. Yeah. Of course, like I said, the annuals discussed in our time. And 120 basically is just, well, just Spider-Man basically dealing with some thugs. And, okay, but who write these issues mostly? Is it Bill Manslow? Well, you're about to find out. For issue 101, it's Gary Birkin. He does pretty much, with Larry Lieber on the artwork of those issues. Peter David does issue 103. 104 is Bill Manslow. 105, and I think 106 is Peter David. Yep. And then 112 is still Peter David. Let's take a look and see how long it was in the book for. But I guess it's interesting the fact he saved this book even after the Gene Wolfe. He's on here for, well, up to 210, comes back for 112, 113, on for 115, 119, and then comes back for a couple issues sporadically. He does a couple of the annuals. I'll probably do the annuals in the review. Yeah, so he does until issue... He does not do 214. Nope. 214 is done by Len Kamitsky, which I've heard this guy recently has suffered some health issues recently. Yes. A guy who had a very good run for Iron Man. Yep. As for 120, that's Bill Manslow with Keith Giffen the artwork. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, I could easily wrap up, basically. I could probably talk about the annuals probably when I discuss the next set of issues for me, for Peter Parker Second Spider-Man. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. I mean, I've already discussed this issues you did for Amazing. Yep. I have discussed those issues already. Spectacular, well, when it was on Spectacular, discussed those already. Of course, kind of working some other books. I think like the only books I officially got done for it from Marvel, just Amazing. Friendly with Spider-Man. It's one Marvel Knights history he worked on. Volumes 2 and 3 of Spider-Man 2099. And his, I read, anyways, all the Cinematic Spider-Man books, but I haven't read all of them yet. Yep. But yeah, not much else to say about these issues. In our comic corner, when I discuss Peter Parker Second Spider-Man, probably either when I talk about Marvel Masterworks, I'll probably discuss annuals 5 and 6, just so I can get past his annuals. Yep. These annuals are quite interesting at best. I think the Peter David issues are quite interesting. One of my favorites, the Wasp issues. I thought that was kind of fun. Yeah, it seems strange. So I would say probably the best issues are the ones featuring the Wasp and the 2 issues that Sabretooth guest starts, because it seems like basically, look at this book, it's like, oh, Spider versus thugs. Yeah, he just fights random guys for a lot of these issues. It's like, the thing that made this book cool and they kind of dropped it. It's still good. It just not as interesting as once was. Yep. But yeah, that's particular view, and that's it for videos tonight. So tomorrow, expect to see One Piece. Yes, I will hopefully get to One Piece tomorrow. How about 1 or 2 videos tomorrow? And of course, Pachuca Tensei, maybe some comic corners. That's pretty much it. But with this particular video, I'm cut out with all my comic corners. Yep. See you next video. Bye.